What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Well, I want to end the news off with a full catch up on exactly where this market is, a piece of news that we got yesterday that I think is important, and much more. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's catch up on crypto. Now, we're going to do this today, guys, by starting off with the price of Bitcoin, and then we're going to go into our fundamentals, and then we're going to go into the news. So what we've been looking at this week has been, of course, Bitcoin's price absolutely sending. And over the last couple of days, things definitely have slowed down a bit, but I actually think that it's a good thing. You know, my focus right now for crypto is I want to see long-term sustainable growth. I don't want to see a blow off top. I don't want to see this thing go all the way up and all the way back down in the end of the bull market this year. I want to see this thing being able to be drawn out into March or April or May of next year. That would be my goal. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. And so because of that, I've been tracking the progress that we've been making to get there. And one of the most important pieces of that progress is the response that Bitcoin has in its cool down phases. You know, every crypto that pumps is going to have cool down phases, but they look a little different. Sometimes they look like this, sometimes they look like this, sometimes they look like this, and sometimes they look like that. But what it is that, of course, we go vertical, and what's going to need to happen is that the bulls are going to need to cool down. They're going to need to rest, and your indicators will need to reset. And the question then becomes, how do they reset? This is usually never good. These are usually pretty good, and this one, let's make that a little bit higher. These are okay. Okay, these are okay. The reason why these are the best is because it actually provides that crypto an opportunity for the bulls to relax a bit, maintain the price, don't get me wrong, and hold it up a little bit, but get that rest that's needed before having that liquidity needed to drive the market higher. These usually result in the best gains. These usually, if this looked more like, let's go ahead and say that one. If this usually looked more like that, right? These are usually okay, but I do prefer these. I don't like these, okay? And what we're seeing from Bitcoin right now is that fourth one. We're seeing Bitcoin's price breaking to the upside and kind of trending upwards a little bit, which is okay, not the best cooldown period, but not a bad one. Now, why is this important? Well, the reason that this is important is because it doesn't erase the gains that we put in, which is good, one. Two, it doesn't start to liquidate some of our long traders and maybe shake them out the market, so we'll have more sustainable long-term growth, too. The third thing that you have to think about is the fact that the further down this thing goes, the harder it's going to be to recover. We have a limited amount of time. We have a limited amount of time that Bitcoin's price can make this move to the upside. If we spend the majority of that time trying to recover losses, we're not going to be able to see this thing really make gains. And so being able to have cooldown periods while the price is trending upwards is a very good thing, and I love the fact that Bitcoin's price is doing it. So in the short term, could it go back to 82K? Yeah, absolutely it could. Could it just as easily go up towards 96K and finish our extension? Yeah, absolutely it could. But to be honest, I don't care. That's what I'm not focused on right now. What I am focused on is the fact that in its cooldown phase, we're getting these great little moments that allow for long-term sustainable growth. A great thing. Now, looking at the fundamentals a little bit deeper, things are looking a little overextended to me. And look, before we actually go into this, I will remind you guys, if you do want to trade some Bitcoin and altcoins and basically every major crypto that you can think of on up to 500x leverage, even though I don't recommend 500x leverage, you can check out that BTCC link down below, guys. If you do want to start trading crypto on leverage, they're not going to make you KYC to start trading, which means you don't have to hand over your personal and private information, but they are going to give you a 10% bonus on first time deposits above $500 and under $100,000. Guys, this means if you deposit $6,000, $4,000, whatever, they're going to give you $400, $600 to trade, guaranteed, no strings attached. And say, for example, if you turn that into $2,000, that profit you made is your profit. You can withdraw it, spend it, do whatever you want. They're giving you the opportunity to literally make free gains on their platform. In addition to that, they're giving you up to $10,000 per user and an SVIP1 code, which gives you 40% lower trading fees. This is probably the best deal I've ever been able to put together since 2021. So please don't miss out on that. That is linked for you down below. Now, looking at the crypto fear and greed index to start off our fundamental analysis, things are back in extreme greed. You know, yesterday, it's funny. Yesterday, we actually saw a dip back into the greed zone, and I was like, hey, this is probably a little bit of a better time to buy if you absolutely must, because things are resetting a little bit, and that was down here. And of course, since then, we did see the market pump, pushing us back into extreme greed, which is interesting. It just goes to show that in those moments, sometimes you just got to take initiative and capitalize on it. Now, not only is the market in extreme greed, but you can see that represented across the majority of things, right? Your 24-hour visual screener shows that everybody's closing their long trades and closing their short trades and opening their long trades. Your RSI heat map on the 4-hour, the 12-hour, and the 24-hour has worked itself back up towards the strong and overbought zone, just meaning that the majority of your cryptos are now kind of getting overbought. These things are not the best times to buy right now. and things are running a little bit too high too fast. And that's what I'm telling you guys, right? You can't get stuck in the short term right now, because honestly, if I saw this, I'd be nervous. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take profits. Like, I'm going to start selling. But considering the fact that the macro is painting a different picture, it's the reason why you need to include technical analysis with your fundamental analysis so you can get the grand picture. Because yeah, everything's overextended right now and this market may pull to the downside, but you need to be able to see the macro and think, oh shoot, it might not be a bad thing if that happens, because we're getting long-term sustainable movement here that could open up the door for it to really swing back to the upside afterwards. And there is a piece of me that's starting to feel like that's what's going to happen, but I just don't know. I think maybe we melt up a little bit forward, maybe we push for 100K and then we get a pullback. I don't know, but I'm just getting this growing feeling in my gut that we're going to see a bit of a pullback. You know, your indicators are oversold. You look at your liquidation map, for example, and this bad boy's so heavy, right? There's so many billions of dollars of liquidations that will happen on the 1 day, the 7 day, and the 30 day if this market does go back, that I just can't help it but like I can't ignore it. I have to understand that there's a very strong chance that that happens. And again, I'm not going to say it's going to happen right now, that it's going to happen right now. It might, but it might not. We might push up towards that 100K mark just to say we did it and then start pulling back. You never really know. So that's why I'm not doing anything right now in the short term. I don't know what's going to happen in the short term, but I do know that in the long term, things are looking very good as a result of these movements that we have been seeing recently. So from a technical and fundamental perspective, the short term looks weird to me, but man, the long term is still looking good. And it's looking even better in my opinion because of this news that we got just yesterday. Now guys, I will let you know, if you do enjoy that fundamental and technical analysis, I do post daily fundamental and technical analysis down in my Patreon, which is down below. In there, again, not only are you going to get daily fundamental and technical analysis, but you're going to get my thoughts, my insights, my notes, things like that, you know, just things that I find important and much more. I'm also posting some crash courses on TA and fundamental analysis and meme coins and all this other stuff. For beginners, it's going to be very simple, very easy, but for those of you who are rather new to the market. So all of that is available, guys. It's only $5 a month. I wanted to make it super affordable for at least this base tier, and maybe there will be some future ones, but for now, I wanted this to be a super easy and affordable option for you. And just for $1 a month, you can join the community, talk to me, ask me questions, and the moderators and stuff. So feel free to check that out down below if you are interested. Now, moving into the news, what news are we talking about today? Well, we only got one major piece of news recently, but it is actually pretty damn big. What we got here is that the CFTC releases notice clearing the way for spot Bitcoin ETF options to be listed. Now, this is important because you may think, well, I like spot Bitcoin because, of course, spot Bitcoin is actually buying Bitcoin. Yes, that's true. But what you have to understand is that there are a ton of institutions that will only really dive into the world of options. Why? Because sometimes it's just a strategic move in which they can leverage their gains better, especially if it's more of a risky company. But secondly, it's in a way in which people, especially institutions, can hedge their gains and protect from losses. So what we oftentimes see is that in moments like this, in which we can see spot Bitcoin ETF options to be listed, go look at any other options that have been listed, you're going to see actually a much more institutional movement towards it than anybody else. Institutions are going to start coming in, which oftentimes is a sign that the market is maturing. It's oftentimes a sign that we're going to get more liquidity, and typically speaking, it can come with some volatility, which is one of the bigger downsides of it. And so with that in mind, although it's not this grand slam, home run, blow you out the park piece of news, it is a very, very important thing to recognize because it could bring so much more liquidity to the market and tap into the world of institutional investors that we haven't really been able to get into quite yet. So I do believe this is good news. I'm looking forward to the actual news to drop that this is going to happen, and feel free to go down below if you do want to get all of the other information about it. And so with that in mind, guys, that is going to be about it for today's catch up. Of course, short, sweet, and straight to the point, but the goal here on this channel is to keep you as caught up on crypto as possible from a technical, fundamental, and news-based perspective. So if you do think we're doing a good job at it, please do smash that like button, and don't forget, if you do head down below, there's a couple things for you. First of all, you can check out my main channel where I post daily technical analysis on some of your favorite cryptos. The second thing you'll find down there is a link to BTCC if you do want to go get a 10% gain almost immediately to start seeing some free gains over on their platform. And the last thing you can check out is the Patreon. Of course, for as little as $1 a month, you can join the private community. So of course, check out all that stuff down below, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.